Good day, everyone. I am Gerald Simonton, and I will be discussing and demonstrating how multilateral treaties in signing a treaty works. So let's find that in the next slide. In multilateral treaties, signatories sign in alphabetical order or in French or in English language of the names of their countries. Example, with the NATO or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Here are the first several signatories, indicating their country with the French translation, as you can see. From the Kingdom of Belgium, Canada, Denmark, France, Iceland, and Italy. You can see below their country's name and their signatures. However, if ever I am a signatory in a treaty, it would look like this. The example of alphabetical orders of countries' names in a treaty is this. The 10 ASEAN countries. First, Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. An example of a recent treaty is the Paris Climate Treaty. It was signed by 194 states, 188 states, and the European Union. On April 1, 2016, the United States and China, which together represents almost 40% of global emissions, issued a joint statement confirming that both countries would sign the Paris Climate Agreement. You can see on the first photo, this was the first this was the Paris Climate Treaty held in 2015, and the second photo is when the China and the United States of America, who represents almost 40% of global emissions, joined the climate agreement. In this photo, you can see that this is the acceptance on behalf of the United States of America. It says here that Barack Obama, President of the United States at the time, having seen and considered the Paris Agreement done at Paris on December 12, 2015, and signed on behalf of done at Paris on December 12, 2015, and signed behalf of United States of America on April 22, 2016, do hereby accept the said agreement and every article, clause, thereof on behalf of the United States of America. It was done at Washington, 24th day of August 2016, and you can see his signature as a president. In the list, you can see the alphabetical order of the countries. I only included the first several countries because the total of the states are 194, and that would be too long if I indicated all of them. At the top of the table, you can see the signing, ratification, and the accession. What does it mean? Well, the difference between signing, ratification, and accession is that signing, the negotiations that precede a treaty are conducted by delegations representing each of the states involved, meeting at a conference or in another setting. Together, they agree on the terms that will bind the signatory states. Once they reach agreements, the treaty will be signed, usually by the relevant ministers. By signing on a treaty, a state expresses the intentions to comply with the treaty. However, this expression of intent is not binding. Well, what does binding means? Binding means it is to impose legal obligations or duties upon a party to to do an agreement. So this is basically what they do in a treaty. Moving on to ratification. Once the treaty has been signed, each state will deal with it according to its national procedures. After approval has been granted, under a state's own internal procedures, it will notify the other parties that they consent to be bound by the treaty. The treaty is now officially binding on the state. So, as I mentioned earlier about the binding, this is what they impose the legal obligations or duties upon a party to do an agreement. Last is the accession. It is the act whereby a state accepts the offer or the opportunity to become a party to a treaty that already negotiated and signed by the other state. Usually occurs after the treaty has entered into force. Um, Also, I want to add that um, in a treaty that has not been ratified by the state, a state may choose to withdraw its signature. For example, on May 6, 2002, the United States withdrew its signature from the Rome Statute. It is a treaty that established the International Criminal Court on the United Nations. One of the most notable treaty was the Japanese Peace Treaty after Japan surrendered in the World War II
Accepting
in
the treaty terms, he
1945. So
pledges that Japan is
this
a new
happened.
nation dedicated to peace, democracy, and freedom. The historic meeting Japan, Australia's Percy C. Spender affixes his signature. Canada is represented by its Minister of External Affairs, Lester Pearson. Brigadier General Carlos P. Romulo signs for the Philippines.